Come on.
My name is Helen. I'm 15 years old and autistic. I use communication aids to speak, and I'm speaking to you with my super cool iPad.
I'm Helen's mum, and Helen actually had a very early diagnosis. She was diagnosed when she was only 3 and she's 15 now, and I think things were quite different then. I first noticed that she was a different sort of baby from a very young age. I'd come to the conclusion that when she started nursery, that would be when I would really know if she was going to shape up and be like regular kids or whether she was always going to be a bit different. So when she went to nursery, after a couple of months in nursery, it was pretty evident that she wasn't going to be like the other kids. She wasn't going to start talking, she wasn't going to play with them, she was going to prefer the company of adults and all kinds of other things that she'd show me.
I don't remember much about my diagnosis because I was only 3, but I do remember some things. It went on for a long time, and at one point I hurt myself on a piece of furniture, and the doctor stopped my mum from comforting me because she wanted to see if I would go to my mum, because apparently that's what a normal kid would do. I can't remember if I did or not.
It was quite tiring. A lot of the questions I couldn't work out why she was asking them at the time. An awful lot of questions about family history and health and things like that as well, some of which I couldn't answer. And at the end of it, she just said, well, I like to call a spade, you're an intelligent woman, your child's got autism. And I just thought, oh, right. And I think some people wouldn't have liked that kind of diagnosis, but to me it was a relief.
After I was diagnosed with autism, a lot of meetings took place, and Mum always talked to me about what was going on, so I grew up with the knowledge of being autistic. We also talked a lot about the sort of things that might be useful and help me live the kind of life I wanted, and as I was able to type on communication aids by the time I was 4, I was able to take part in meetings myself.
It meant that we could go to the borough, we could get support for her in nursery so she could have one-to-one support. We could start looking at communication aids for her because she wasn't showing signs of speaking. And I saw it as a way of opening doors to money. Basically, it meant that there was funding there and we could now access it.
When I was diagnosed, it didn't mean much to me, but as the years went by, I understood more about my autism and learned how to enjoy my differences and how to help myself when I get sensory overload, because that's the hardest thing to cope with.
She's hypersensitive in sound, and when she was about 3 she had a hearing test. All that proved was that she had hearing that seemed to be fine. It didn't actually give us any idea of how hypersensitive she was, and that caused quite a lot of problems for her, and still does. So that didn't really become apparent till she was about 6.
Autism and me get along fine most of the time, but because I know myself really well, it makes it easier to cope with and enjoy the lovely aspects of autism. I get to do amazing things sometimes and get some opportunities that I might not get otherwise. I also adore having a brilliant autistic brain that seems to give me a different perspective on things, and I have a terrific memory, and that's really useful for school.
The thing to do is to look at how you overcome the barriers and to stay really positive and work through those. And technology is so advanced now, there are so many different types of support. It is possible to do really well with autism. Make yourself an expert in your own child and then you'll know what to ask for.
I've recently met some young adults with autism, and that was inspiring as they are moving on to work and university degrees. I think the more autistic people that are out in the public eye, the better it will be for all of us with a diagnosis, and we can show we are a force to be reckoned with.